All right, guys, welcome back to the First Team Fantasy Podcast. And today we are going to be covering the Thursday night recap as well as all of the previews for the games this week. I'm going to start it off with the Panthers went into Chicago, put up 13 points. Their only touchdown came from a punt return, and then they scored 2 field goals. Bryce Young was 21 for 38, 185 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Was 3 for 18 on the ground. No turnovers in this one, but nothing fantastic either. Only 9.2 fantasy points. The running backs were also very underwhelming. Chuba Hubbard was 9 for 23, and Miles Sanders was 2 for -5. His first rushing attempt was just completely blown up. He had no chance and lost 6 yards on that. So the next one, he gained 1 yard and ended with -5. Raheem Blackshear was 2 for 7. So just totally underwhelming rushing attack as a whole. And as far as receiving from those backs, Chuba got 2 targets, caught both of them for 16 yards. Miles Sanders also had 2 targets and caught both for 15 yards. So, yeah, you got 5.9 points out of Chuba Hubbard and 3 out of Miles. We did talk about how the Bears have a fairly good rushing defense, and it might not be a good week to start a Panthers running back. This happened to be true, and neither one of them did anything worth anything. The only Panther, aside from the kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, who had some form of a decent day, was Adam Thielen. That came on 6 catches for 42 yards on 10 targets. 10.2 points. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was genuinely a bad day. I mean, like we talked about the tight ends, we weren't interested in. Hayden Hurst got another 4 targets, caught 2 of them for 14 yards. Mingo had 7 targets, but only caught 3 for 20.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just hard to get excited about anybody in an offense that they are bad. And, you know, I tried to be excited about Mingo, but maybe this just isn't the year. Maybe. And I mean, he could start to improve again towards the end of this year, but right now it's just not looking like anything worth looking at. I mean, the leading receiver, who is this guy's name? Mike Strachan was the leading receiver because he caught 1 45-yard pass.
You said Michael Strahan?
No,
I'm kidding.
No, I know, but it's close because it's
is.
just 1 letter away, literally. But no, and Tommy Trumbull 3 of 3 for 16 yards. So yeah, I mean, not much more to talk about here. I'm not going to drag it on.
No,
you could definitely talk about the Bears side of the ball.
It was just an ugly game altogether. The one caveat, I'm going to give credit to the Bears because they do own the Panthers' first-round pick. So winning this game
Super Bowl
was huge for the Bears because, wow, the trade's just looking very bad for the Panthers. I mean, they really could be handing the number 1 overall pick to the Bears. There's a very high chance that's the case.
No, yeah, that was basically the Bears' Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was a huge win for them. Again, 16-13. This game was just ugly. Tyson Bagent didn't lose them the game, didn't win them it by any means. 20 of 33, 162 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Carried the ball 6 times, 12 yards, 7.68 fantasy points. There was only one guy who had like a really solid day, and that was Deontay Foreman. When we did the preview, it seemed like Khalil Herbert was going to play. He was logging full participation practices, so that's why we said it would be an ugly week for Bears running backs, but he did not play. So it was another solid week for Deontay Foreman.
One thing I wanted to mention on that, we've been Me personally, been kind of behind. We've both been very busy, so we've
Mm-hmm.
been kind of behind on the posting on the Instagram page and on the Twitter. We will get back up to date on that.
Yeah.
With like the things like Khalil Herbert being out, something that we need to post before the game, and we will have that information for you guys. Like I said, both of us have been fairly busy,
Mm-hmm.
but we will get back on top of that for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, with Herbert missing this game, Deontay Foreman was the lead back again. He had 21 carries, 80 yards, a touchdown, 2 catches on 2 targets, 12 yards, 17.2 fantasy points, played 53% of snaps. With Khalil Herbert missing, it changed a lot. It made me like Deontay Foreman a lot more. But had he played, again, I feel like it would have been very muddled. Roschon Johnson played 42% of snaps. He got more passes out of the backfield. He had 4 catches for only 14 yards on 6 targets, but he only carried the ball 5 times for 18 yards, 7.2 fantasy points. I'm curious when Khalil Herbert comes back, what's going to happen with that backup role. It's looking like Deontay Foreman is more capable than Roschon, at least as of now. So that's something to monitor. Roschon's value is just, he's kind of getting lost.
And it was one thing that I brought up, how in the games where I don't remember the exact number, but when he had a certain amount of carries, that he averaged a very high amount. He was very productive.
Yeah.
And is that it was very strange to see the Bears have him as a healthy scratch. Excuse me, through the first
3-4 games.
Like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now it looks like, well, it's possible Khalil Herbert might not even get his full role back.
No, that's very true. Khalil Herbert has not been crazy efficient. I mean, he's kind of like another Madison where, the starter left and then, I mean, they were confident enough to say, we have faith that you can be the starter, but he was unproven. This is his first season really taking a lead back role, and I mean, he has not looked great by any means. So, yeah, no, that is a very good point. The receivers, it was ugly again. DJ Moore's not having the same success with Badgett as he had with Fields. I mean, he's not, like this week, he did not kill you by any means. He had 5 catches, 58 yards on 9 targets, rushed the ball 1 time for a single yard, 10.9 fantasy points. It's a solid week. You wish for more, but again, that does not burn you by any means. Tyler Scott.
And you like to see the 9 targets.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's getting the volume. It's just Fields was able, I think, to get the ball downfield a bit more than Tyson Bagent. They're kind of playing closer to the line of scrimmage with Bagent, so
yeah,
we expect things like that. The other receivers, Darnell Mooney, 3.4, Tyler Scott, 4.1. I'm obviously not looking at either of those. Cole Kmet, actually, he had a solid day for a tight end. He
did.
Yeah.
He did. I was nervous about the start, but he...
Yeah, he did his thing.
Got it done.
Yeah, he had 7 targets, caught 5 of them, 45 yards, 9.6 fantasy points. I mean, for a tight end, that's a solid week. Like for me, I had Kelsey on bye, plugged in Cole Kmet, was hoping for a solid week, and 9.6 was more than he was projected. So, I mean, it's, book it.
Yeah. The thing that just made me nervous about it was that the Panthers were good against the pass and awful against the run, which led to Deontay Foreman running the ball 21 times, which was kind of but it still worked out. So as long as it works out, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and last thing, the second highest scorer in the Bears offense was Cairo Santos with 12 fantasy points. So that just shows you the type of week or the type of game it was for both these teams. But that's all I had.
And of course, the one game, Darnell Mooney hits under.
He'd hit over 4 times in a row. It's the only thing that we busted on the parlay. 4 games in a row, he'd hit the over on receiving yards. It was, 24.5, 23.5? It was a low number. I mean, dude.
Yep. That's how it goes. And that's why we say only put up to $5 on him. It is regardless of how secure it may look, everything, as you know, playing fantasy football, how volatile all of this is.
Yeah.
So especially when you are playing with money, don't put too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, we are going to go right into. Oh, do you have the injury report? I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah, if you want to pull it up.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So let's get this up. Oh.
There's a couple pretty big
Yeah, there's some big
names
ones
out there.
All right. And here we go. So, since the first game will be the Colts at the Patriots, we're going to start with that one. So, for the Colts, let's see. Drew Ogletree, their tight end, is out.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Downs is questionable still with that knee. That one makes me nervous because as he was questionable last week, he did end up playing in the game and left during that game because the knee was bothering him too much. So that is definitely making me nervous.
Yeah.
Downs didn't practice throughout the week, but he did make the trip to Germany. So there's that. I'd heavily monitor it. I would look to play somebody other than Josh Downs this week, just looking at what happened last week.
Yeah.
For the Browns visiting the Ravens, let's see. David Bell, Marquise Goodwin, and their tackle DeWand Jones are all out. So the Browns starting right and left tackle will both be out. That is interesting going up against the team leading the league in sacks. Pierre Strong's questionable. For the Ravens, Keaton Mitchell is questionable. And that is all. Texans at Bengals. We have Kamai. Wow. Okay, so their kicker Kamai Fairbairn is still out. Brevin Jordan, tight end. Damian Pierce is still out. Nico Collins is out. So it will be Devin Singletary getting the go for the RB1 spot again. And the biggest one here to me is Nico Collins being out. I guess and Brevin Jordan, because Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz are going to be huge this week. For the Bengals, Sam Hubbard is out. T. Higgins, which was one of the guys who was questionable throughout the week. This is very big for a lot of people who have T. Higgins. He will be missing this week. If you need to pivot, we have seen Trenton Irwin, who, because the likelihood of what's
Tyler
83's name? Tyler Boyd. I don't know why I know his name.
He's not going to be available.
Yeah, he's not going to be available. So you are probably able to go out and get Trenton Irwin.
Yeah.
And he has had success when T has missed. So if you need a pivot, that is a decent one. Jamar Chase is questionable, but I believe he should be playing.
Yeah.
Chase is officially listed as questionable, limited on Thursday and Friday. The Bengals announced Saturday that 2 receivers have been elevated from the practice squad. Okay, so not just one. So they are showing with the elevation of 2 receivers that there is some worry that Chase might miss.
Yeah.
So definitely pay attention to that going into tomorrow. That's something I'm waking up early, like scouring every report, because that's huge. If Jamar Chase misses and it's a game time decision, like that is big. If him and Higgins miss, it will be a huge Tyler Boyd week, and you definitely have to go out and get Trenton Irwin at that point. It's not even a question.
Yeah.
The next one, Saints at the Vikings. Kendre Miller will miss for the Saints. Jaron Hall will still miss for the Vikings, although I doubt that matters because, they got my rocket scientists going crazy. TJ Hawkinson Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, and their guard Chris Reed are all questionable. Yeah, that's about it. Titans at Bucks. We have Treylon Burks with that bad concussion will be missing, and Tannehill's questionable, but we already know they're going in the direction of Will Levis. And for the Bucks, Trey Palmer is questionable. Niners at Jags. Okay. Zay Jones out yet again for the Jags. Will he play another game this year? I don't know. Why haven't they put him on the IR? I don't know. He's been questionable to out every week now for like 3 weeks.
It does feel that way, yeah.
It's insane. Green Bay at Pittsburgh. We have Jair Alexander's questionable as well as Quay Walker. Okay. And nobody on the offense.
They're doubtful.
For fantasy.
Jair and Quay are doubtful. Yeah.
Doubtful. I don't know what I said, honestly. Minkah Fitzpatrick is still out for the Steelers. It's big for their defense. Falcons. Mac Hollins.
No.
Out.
It's my boy.
Cardinals.
That's my boy. Keep going. Sorry. Just no.
Reaction like that to Mac Hollins being out. Okay, for the Cardinals, Emery DeMercado will be out. James Conner is back. Will play. Listed as questionable, but they announced that he will play. Michael Wilson, wide receiver, is questionable. And the Falcons are getting Drake London back. That's also a very big plus. And on to the Lions at the Chargers. Chargers actually have no one out. That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah. Chargers have, it says none. That's everyone
Impressive.
is a go, is how the Chargers described their injury front ahead of Sunday's game.
Wow.
Okay, Chargers, good job. That is impressive. And also huge because they are playing the Lions. That is going to be tough. And the Lions, as soon as he arrives, Donovan Peoples-Jones is already questionable.
Yeah.
Already questionable. That's okay. Commanders at Seahawks. Curtis Samuel with the toe still questionable. DJ Dallas. And who the hell is Kenny McIntosh? And Colby Parkinson are all questionable for the Seahawks. Giants at Jesus Christ. Okay. That's the biggest.
Some big names.
No, the Cowboys are favored by 17 points. That's college football mismatch numbers.
I mean, it's Danny DeVito. He's driving from his parents' house to the game.
I recognize that, but it's...
That's incredible. Yeah, it's insane to see.
You don't see that in the NFL. You do not see teams favored by 17 points very often. For the Giants, Deion Jackson is out. Evan Neal is out. Paris Campbell is questionable. And for the Cowboys, Kevontae Turpin is questionable. Oh my God, maybe that means Brandon Cooks will get something. Moving on to the Raiders and Jets. Jets got some alignment out.
Yeah.
The Raiders, Colton Miller is doubtful. And that's really it. Broncos at Bills on Monday. I mean, the Broncos have not announced that yet. And the Bills have only announced some of their defensive guys are up. So, yeah. That will be all for the injury report. Hopefully you're not one of the people dealing with the Bengals receivers fiasco. And, hopefully you got some guys back this week, like Drake London and James Conner.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to our second round of Germany games. They gave us a real fun one this week. We got the Patriots and the Colts. Currently, the Patriots offense is the second worst in the NFL on a points per game basis, only scoring 15 per game. 21st in pass yards per game with 202.6. 28th in rush yards per game with 86.9. Yeah, and they lost recently their leading wide receiver in Kendrick Bourne. Demario Douglas, a guy we talked about that we like. We know that he's probably going to be the guy taking. I think he's going to take over that number one spot. Juju hasn't shown too much. I mean,
Yeah.
It's hard to. I mean, I guess Juju's worth a roster spot, maybe. The Colts are giving up 235 pass yards per game. Like I said, the Patriots are only barely reaching 200. So I guess like Demario Davis, I'm cool starting him. If you're in a position where you have to start Juju, and I guess Hunter Henry, then I don't like it. I really don't. But if you're forced into that position, then so be it. I think there are better options. Mondre, I like. Mondre's been getting better. Colts are giving up 125.6 rush yards per game. Mondre's been catching passes out of the backfield too. I mean, I think it's going to be a great game for Mondre.
Yeah.
I don't see him scoring below 10 points. I mean, saying it's going to be a great game and saying he won't score below 10 is, but it's just you don't know with the Patriots offense. You don't know how bad they're going to be that day. And even if it is a bad day, I do believe just based on volume alone, Mondre can get himself to 10 fantasy points.
Yeah.
And that's really, I mean, there's not too much to discuss with the Patriots side of the ball. Moving on to the Colts, they're actually 7th in scoring with 25.8 points per game, 220 pass yards per game, putting them at 16th, and 123 rush yards per game, putting them at 10th. You know, the Patriots defense hasn't necessarily been the Patriots defense of old. They have had guys missing. They've lost Judon. I don't think they've gotten Christian Gonzalez back yet. They're giving up 25.3 points per game. I mean, I have no fear starting Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, and
that might be it.
I mean, that might be it just because Josh Downs is up in the air.
Yeah.
And I mean, no, yeah, that's about it. So this one's pretty short and sweet, honestly. If you want to start their kicker, Matt Gay, go ahead. But yeah, the Pats are currently giving up 232 yards through the air. So I think Michael Pittman is going to have a big day.
Yeah.
But yeah, Indy's favored by 2 points. Over-under's 43. We are waking up at 6:30 to watch the Colts and Patriots play in Germany. Yay! That's all for that one.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Well, I am.
No, I don't have much to add to that. Next game's kind of an interesting one. It's going to be the Texans at Cincinnati taking on the Bengals. Both of them are pretty mediocre against the pass. The Texans give up 238 yards and Bengals give up 234. Bengals are also very bad against the run, giving up 129 yards. Texans only give up 97, but the Texans have not exactly ran the ball efficiently. We did see Dameon Pierce miss last week, and again, he's missing this week as well. So it's like Devin Singletary should have a solid week. He's going to get the volume for a solid week, but I don't hate that start. CJ Stroud, we just saw go absolutely nuclear. He is a hot hand right now.
Yes, we did.
He should have another solid week, but again, he will be missing Nico Collins. Robert Woods is also questionable. He's missed the past couple weeks with that foot injury. He's been a full participant on Friday, so if they have him back. But I like firing up. You know, depends what your quarterback situation looks like, but I like CJ Stroud this week. I think Devin Singletary can have a capable week. Tank Dell needs to be a start. Yeah, Devin Singletary, it's tough. They can't run the ball.
Yeah, I think I might be good off Singletary for right now. You know who I'm interested in this week, though?
Who?
Noah Brown.
Yes. With Nico Collins going out, you're going to see Noah Brown step into that wide receiver 2, especially if Robert Woods can't go. And even if he can, Robert Woods probably going to be the wide receiver 3. But Noah Brown's a very interesting spot start.
Especially if he can't.
Mm-hmm. It's a very interesting spot start. I do like that. And then with Brevin Jordan missing, you have Dalton Schultz. And he's been a very hot hand for them as of recent. So the Texans, the guys to start. Singletary's kind of the one that's a hit or miss one.
And just after last week, we saw him get all of the opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't.
The Bucs do have a very capable run defense in comparison to the Bengals, though. So that is worth noting, at least. But again, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. And then
it's just hard to go back to that after seeing that complete lack of anything with all of the opportunity.
Yeah. And I mean, on the Bengals side of the ball, I'm going to start with the obvious ones. Mixon, you're obviously starting. Jamar Chase, if he plays, you are obviously starting. Tyler Boyd, I do like as a flex play this week with Higgins being out. Now, if Jamar Chase misses 2, how do you feel about Joe Burrow? I'm still starting him.
I think you have to.
Yeah. I mean,
you're at the point. Okay, so just to reference our own league, for example, if you're not choosing to start him, you are, because at this point, all the waivers have gone. The quarter, CJ's gone. You're putting yourself in a position where it's like, okay, do I want to start Will Levis or Baker Mayfield?
Yeah. No, I mean, that answers itself. You have to fire up Joe Burrow.
I'd rather just start Joe Burrow.
And one thing we saw from him...
I'll start Joe Burrow with Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, and this past week, he was able to get it to all 3 of his tight ends. Decently. All 3 of them had decent fantasy weeks. So, I mean...
No, Joe Burrow is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And now that he's healthy... Well, what am I going to say? He's a bad quarterback?
I know.
Stupid.
I know.
You're saying clip that like this isn't a recording. Anyways.
But yeah, you know your guys. You know your guys with the Bengals. It's Joe Burrow. It's Joe Mixon. Jamar Chase if he plays. Tyler Boyd. Either way. Really like Tyler Boyd if Jamar does not play. Trenton Irwin is a riskier one. Even if Jamar Chase doesn't play, I like that. But if he does,
Chase doesn't play, you have to play Trenton Irwin. If he does play, then it's less of an inclination.
Yeah. But that's all I had for that one.
All right. Well, this next one, I talked about it earlier in my starts and sits. This is a game that, for the most part, I mean, it's the Browns going into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. I talked about in the injury report how the Browns are missing both of their starting tackles. The Ravens are currently second in total yards per game and first in points per game on defense. The Browns are currently first in total yards per game and third in points per game on defense. I don't really want to start many players. I have Lamar Jackson. I'm starting Lamar Jackson. You have Lamar Jackson. You're starting Lamar Jackson. It's like the Joe Burrow thing. You just don't think too hard about these things. If they don't have a good week, they don't have a good week. You don't talk yourself into starting Baker Mayfield over the quarterback you drafted in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
You don't do that. It's just not a smart idea. And they could both end up getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
It does. You just don't know. So you have to start your guys. Mark Andrews are still putting out there. I am less inclined to start Gus Edwards this week just because the Browns have a very good rush defense. They are currently 6th, giving up 89.8 yards per game on the ground. It's going to be a tough, ugly game. I think last time it was like 28-3, but that's because they were starting DTR. I think this game might be a little closer, but a little closer could be 10-7.
It could. Yeah.
And I mean, you got Cooper, you're starting him. I think you got Ford. If you don't have any better options, you're starting him.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Gus Edwards if you don't have any better options. Keaton Mitchell, especially with him being on the injury report with the hamstring injury going up against the Browns this week, I'd prefer to just hold him this week. And if he plays and does well, great. If they don't really give him too much, next week they play the Bengals. And we talked about how their rush defense is not near the top.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, David Njoku, not a guy that I'm looking to throw out in my lineup.
No.
And that's really like Zay Flowers, if you got him. If you don't have any better, it's just one of these games. Like Mark Andrews, you're obviously starting, and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And everybody else, I'm saying if you have better options, go to them. But if not, so be it.
Yeah.
You could probably fire up the defenses. I mean, the over/under in this game is 38 points. So
should be a low-scoring one. But watch it be one of those games that's freaking 35, 30. You know what I mean? But more than likely, yeah, it'll probably be a very low-scoring one.
No, yeah. I don't see the point total reaching over 40.
Yeah. Well, a game that it could, a game that could possibly have some decent offensive output is the Saints at the Vikings. The Saints have a solid defense, 7th against the pass, 17th against the rush. The Vikings, 18th against the pass, 12th against the rush. We're going to see our boy, Josh Dobbs, yet again. I mean, he's exciting, to say the very least. Josh Dobbs, I'm not looking to start him fantasy-wise. Madison, you kind of have to.
I think you could start Madison.
Yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, it just sucks.
After Cam Akers, yeah.
That just sucks for Cam Akers, man. But outside of Cam Akers, it's kind of like the Buccaneers. There's just no real competition there for him. You're going to have to start Jordan Addison. KJ Osborne, they're listing me as questionable with the concussion, and they said he practiced the past 2 weeks. But that hit was gnarly to see. So I don't see how he could clear for this game. But even if he does, I mean, we've seen him.
I don't know how the hell Brock Purdy did on that short week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
some of these guys go through like Superman concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Some guy who the hell was it? Roshan Johnson was out for like
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah, with that
Devontae Parker is out for, I think this is his 3rd game. He's missing because of a concussion.
Dude, and Brock Purdy came back in what, like 5 days?
If that, yeah.
4 days? Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, we move on, but that's just crazy. Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, KJ Osborne, he's questionable with the concussion. We'll have to see if he plays. That's something to heavily monitor. I would assume no, because 99% of the time, if you get a concussion, you do not clear by the next week. TJ Hawkinson, questionable with a rib injury. He himself has said he expects to play. I do think he will play. He is someone like a Mark Andrews. You just obviously have to start no matter what. Brandon Powell, I'm going to say his name because he kind of came out of nowhere and he's been solid for them. Not looking to start him by any means. And then the Saints side of the ball, you have your obvious guys. I mean, Derek Carr, depending who your quarterback is, he could be a solid spot start for the week. I don't dislike the Derek Carr start. Alvin Kamara, obviously. Chris Olave has to be in your lineup. Michael Thomas was arrested yesterday, and when I looked at the report, it literally said, despite being arrested, Michael Thomas expects to suit up and play Sunday versus the Vikings until like a suspension is determined. So I mean, I was just okay. Michael Thomas goose egged us last week, only got one target, but outside of that, he has
got
been
arrested this week.
I mean, he's on a bender, dude.
Yo, MT, what is going on?
But if Michael Thomas does play,
agree.
I think he's he's a solid start. You know, he had the one goose egg, but outside of that, he has been very consistent. So I do like the Michael Thomas start. Rashid Shaheed, that is a lot riskier of a play. I'm not going to tell you to start him or not, but you know, if you do, you are preying on a 55-yard bomb from Derek Carr. And then the guy himself, Taysom Hill, must start. Like, absolutely must start.
Oh, yeah.
If you have Travis Kelce and say you have TJ Hawkinson, you're starting TJ Hawkinson, you're starting Taysom as your flex. Taysom has to be flexed if you have a better tight end. If you do not have a better tight end, you are lucky to have gotten him.
I have Sam Laporta at tight end and Taysom Hill at flex.
You have to. Taysom Hill has to be flexed. Like, he has to be in the starting lineup. And I mean, that's really all I had. I mean, maybe the Saints defense, maybe. You know,
The kicker.
Yeah, Blake Groupie. He's very solid.
Yeah, he's been good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on to the next one. We have the Niners going into Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, which I'm not gonna lie, I think the Jags win this game.
No.
Everybody's been saying the opposite. I think it's in Jacksonville. The Jags have been playing good football.
Mm-hmm.
While Trevor Lawrence hasn't been great on, the stat sheet, the fantasy, the Jags have been playing good football and they're 6-2. The Niners have lost their last 3 games before the bye. I mean, just the way the momentum is going for both these teams. Travis Etienne has been going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing well. And I mean, yeah, they're going up against a very, very tough Niners run defense. They happen to be only giving up 86.1 on the ground. Travis Etienne hasn't necessarily. I mean, obviously, you're starting Travis Etienne no matter what.
Yeah,
that's not even a question.
Yeah,
and because it's not necessarily efficiency what he's gotten it done on. He's been getting in the end zone.
Yeah.
They get him in the end zone every game, no matter what. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, no, the Niners are giving up 228 yards in the air.
Mm-hmm.
I think this game, you see Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and Calvin Ridley all eat. I think you see 3 guys. I think you see 3 guys on the Jaguars go above 10 points in the receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
Receiver room, tight end, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think those 3 guys definitely. The Jags, I don't know. They've been playing good football. They're, talked about how Niners are a good rush defense. The Jags are even better.
Mm-hmm.
Jags are giving up 79.2 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing with McCaffrey, though. You're still starting him.
Mm-hmm.
Jags are giving up 263 yards through the air. So, Brandon Ayuk, Debo's back. Gotta fire up Kittle. Absolutely no choice. You're back. We're back to your guys. Starting them. No one else. If you want to start Purdy, start Purdy. It's a good week to do it. Like I said, they're giving up 263 yards through the air.
Yeah.
Only 19.5 points per game, but, I think, honestly, Brandon Ayuk has a huge week this week. That is my prediction for the Niners side of the ball. But, yeah, other than that, I'm not. I mean, the Niners defense hasn't really been great for fantasy. The Jags pass defense is so bad that I don't really want to start them. That's really it. On
Yeah.
to the next one.
No, for sure. This game should be a very fun and good game for fantasy
Yeah, I
owners.
think so.
This is
You
going to be a
got your
good one.
guys, you start your guys, you don't get too crazy and start a Juwan Jennings or anything, and you're good.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And this will take me to my last morning game, which is the Titans at the Buccaneers. Titans are very middle of the pack on defense, 16th against the pass, 19th against the rush. The Bucs are 31st against the pass, giving up 279 yards, but 9th against the rush, giving up 93. Treylon Burks is out with that concussion, and Trey Palmer, as we said earlier, is questionable with a neck injury / an illness. But he was a full participant Friday. Start with the Titans.
Neck illness. That's crazy.
A neck injury and an illness.
Neck illness.
Start with the Titans. Will Levis.
Big D-up game.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how risky you want to get, because we saw Will Levis go absolutely insane, and then we saw him be humbled, and I don't know what to expect from him week 3. There's honestly safer options out there. I would stay away from Will Levis unless you're in like a super flex, then he probably is a solid option. But Derrick Henry, you have to fire up. You just have to fire him up. And DeAndre Hopkins. And Nick Folk. There's no one else. It's the Titans. That's it. The Bucs are a little more interesting. I mean, the Titans' defense isn't great. So, like, it just depends. It depends how people are holding quarterbacks and everything like that. I think Baker Mayfield can have a solid week. Am I saying to pick him up and start him in fantasy? No. But I do think he can have a competent week, though. I think he can give you 15, 16.
I agree.
The RB1, Rachaad White from last week. I think he's going to have a solid week. You know, he doesn't run the ball crazy efficiently, but he gets an insane amount of work, especially receiving out of the backfield. That helps him a lot. And then your receivers, you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I'm rolling out both of them. How you feel about?
And after that week Godwin gave us last week.
Have to.
That hurt. That hurt me. But yeah, what were you saying though?
Oh, just thoughts on Cade Otton this week.
Start him.
I agree. I think Cade Otton can have a solid week. He's out there like 100% of his snaps, so it's like you kind of have to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah, but that's all I had. That was my last morning game. Did you have one more?
Yeah, another. I mean, a game I'm not too excited about. We have the Packers going into Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers.
It's ugly.
Both of these teams have been so underwhelming on offense. It's like I'm genuinely excited to rewatch this game. I will not be watching it live because the Ravens are playing at the same time. So I'm going to have to rewatch it. We'll definitely be putting it on the condensed version and might have to drink because, yeah. Green Bay is scoring 20 points per game somehow.
Yeah,
good Lord. They're 199 pass yards per game. They're not even hitting 200. Jordan Love has not been the next great Green Bay quarterback, at least so far. It's been ugly.
There's a reason they kept him behind Aaron Rodgers for so long, dude.
For so long.
There was a reason.
Oh, man. I mean, look, I'm just gonna cut straight to the chase. You're starting Aaron Jones. I really wish I could say you're for sure starting Christian Watson. but he has been so shaky. Granted, they're going up against a bad Steelers pass defense. I don't know if that moves me too much. I genuinely don't.
I agree.
Because although the Steelers are giving up 244 pass yards per game, I don't know how that offensive line and Jordan Love is going to fare against the pressure that the Steelers bring. That's the reality of it. I mean, I just don't know. Steelers are giving up 20 points per game, 20.4. So it's like about the same range. They're giving up 133 yards on the ground. My favorite start in this game is Aaron Jones. I think he should have a great game. Yeah, I don't really know about. Do you want to know something truly funny?
Go ahead.
Who do you think is the Green Bay Packers' current leading receiver?
Probably Jaden Reed. It is, huh? Yeah. No, I believe that. It's disgusting.
You know how many yards?
They've had a bye. Well, they've had a bye, right? So 8 games.
Okay, they've had a bye.
8 games, 435. 395.
333. Yeah, so yeah. No, yeah, really. That's how bad this Packers offense has been. Their leading receiver is 333 yards.
Through 8 games?
Through 8 games.
That's less than 50 a game.
Let me just do us a little. So the Baltimore Ravens, my team, not known to pass too much. Through 9 games, Mark Andrews has 477.
Hasn't he missed a game?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean...
Through 8 games.
Yeah.
Let's check on the Falcons. Drake London, 438, has missed a game. Cardinals, 440, Marquise.
Yeah.
Panthers. This is insane, honestly. Yeah, so that's how far the Green Bay Packers have fallen from grace. They have played 8 games, and their lead receiver has 333 yards. Yeah, we are not excited to start anyone on the... like I said, the Steelers are terrible against the pass, even though if you got to start them, you start them, but I'd prefer not to.
Yep.
So, yeah, on to the Steelers side of the ball. The Packers are giving up 196 pass yards per game, which ranks 9th in the NFL. Currently, you're still starting Deontay Johnson.
Well, Jair is doubtful, too.
Yes, he is.
That's huge for Deontay.
Yes, it is. Deontay's going to eat regardless.
Yeah.
Because he's the number 1 on that team. George Pickens is, I think you got to start him. And I feel comfortable starting both Najee and Jaylen Warren in this game. The Packers are giving up 124 rush yards per game.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You're not starting Kenny Pickett. You're not starting Jordan Love. I need to say no more. Oh, Steelers defense, if you want to start.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
They should be having Jordan Love on the ground quite a bit.
Just
crazy.
A quick answer. Do you George Pickens or Christian Watson? Who scores more this week?
Well, I think George Pickens has a better chance of playing the full game, so I'm going to go him.
That's a good point.
But, Jesus, we see Christian Watson in the blue medical tent every game.
Yeah, he lives there. He lives there.
He's like Green Bay Kadarius Toney, but...
Yeah.
Okay, so into our afternoon games. Who do you have for your first one?
Actually, a pretty good game. I have the Lions going to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. The Lions defense has been formidable. They 15th against the pass, 220 yards. Only 77 yards on the ground. They allow 3rd in the NFL. That is very impressive for them. The Chargers are dead last in pass yards, 286, but they are 7th against the rush. What?
Oh, they got it down from 300?
It is
They
286.
got it. Oh my God, they got it down from 300. They were at 312 at one point. So good
Yeah.
job, Chargers.
All it took was playing the Jets.
Oh,
You know,
that
that's all it took. They just had to play the Jets. They got it under.
it's gonna go back up.
Yeah.
It's about to go right back up this game.
So, I like Jared Goff this week. The Chargers are dead last against the pass. I like Jared Goff. David Montgomery is returning. The Chargers are solid against the run. I think David Montgomery may not have the most efficient day, but we do know if the Lions get within, the 7 to 5 yard line, it will be David Montgomery carrying the ball. So there's a very solid chance he gets in the end zone. So I like firing up David Montgomery. Jahmyr Gibbs, man, has gone absolutely nuclear. I feel like you, especially with buys, you have to start him. And if Dan Campbell burns you after Jahmyr's been playing this good,
I think he should still be good for like 12, 13 points.
Yeah, and that won't kill you. That's very solid. So, yeah, one of the few backfields I like, both the guys there. So Jahmyr and David Montgomery, I feel comfortable firing up. Obviously, I'm firing up Sam Laporta, and I am firing up. Schiff's gonna hate it. The Almond Man himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God.
I'm happy you used the preferred nickname at least.
The Sun God. Amon-Ra.
You might get yours to stick. I'll stop.
It'll get there. Yeah, it'll get there. The Almond Man, it'll get there.
Stick.
It'll get there eventually. But yeah, Josh Reynolds, I just don't feel comfortable with. I mean, he was hot to start the season, and then he's kind of fizzled out. And now you have Jameson Williams there, who I don't necessarily feel comfortable starting either. But I guess both those guys should be rostered. But I'm starting to like Jameson Williams more than Josh Reynolds, just off potential alone. But
yeah,
we'll see. And the Chargers side of the ball, dude, I'm going to keep rolling with it. I do not like Justin Herbert this week, man. I feel bad, but
Nah, this week he should be good. The Lions' pass defense is not good.
They're 15th again. It's not like they're terrible, though, They give up 220 yards a game.
But their Chargers aren't going to be able to run the ball, though. So
I know, but they couldn't run it efficiently this last game, and
the Jets' defense is much.
No, they are. They are for sure. It's just personal preference. Obviously, you have Herbert. You drafted him early, like Lamar, like Joe Burrow. You have to roll him out there. But
you just don't like. I get it.
I don't like. Also, go to the receivers really quick. Keenan Allen, obviously, you're starting. Quentin Johnston has been very underwhelming. And I remember when Mike Williams first went out, and we were like, who's going to be the number 2? Oh, it's going to be Josh Palmer, and then Quentin Johnston will eventually take it over for him. Well, now he has to, because Josh Palmer's on IR. And what is he doing? Herbert's receiving threats, other than Eckler, are Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston. Gerald Everett's old. And Parham, he's
Darius Davis, who's drafted later than Johnston.
He just doesn't have that many weapons. It's not a knock on Herbert.
No, it's crazy because didn't the Chargers draft Johnston ahead of Flowers and Addison?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I bet they're regretting that right now.
Yeah, but okay, you drafted Herbert early. You have to stick with Herbert. Austin Eckler, I do like the start. Even if he can't run it efficiently, he is going to get volume receiving out of the backfield. Keenan Allen, I like. Quentin Johnston, absolutely not until I see some type of anything from him. You're getting first-round money, dude. Yeah. And then Gerald Everett, I just feel like there's better tight end, like a K-Dot and guys like that. There's better options out there, but
guys are on the field more.
Yeah, but that's all I had for that one. I'm excited for that game, though. That should be a good game.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. This next one, I don't know so much. It might be, it might not be. We have the Falcons going into Arizona to play the 1-8 Cardinals. looking at this right now, it is pretty funny because the current passing leader for the Arizona Cardinals this year is Clayton Tune with 62 yards because Josh Dobbs is no longer an Arizona Cardinal.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Murray will be back, so that's positive, I think. It makes Marquise Brown, Trey McBride, I think it pulls Rondale Moore back into fantasy relevance. It makes Michael Wilson a nice option. Obviously, maybe not everybody this week because it's the first week back. You got to get a little bit acclimated, so on and so forth. But I think, Marquise Brown, I'm not hesitating to start. He's gotten volume regardless. I think you could say Trey McBride, I'm not too scared to start either. But the Rondale Moore, Michael Wilson, maybe wait a week or two, see how that pans out with Kyler coming back, although we have seen Rondale do well with Kyler.
Yeah.
James Conner, he's back, and he's playing football.
Mm-hmm.
Despite missing the last 4 weeks, he is still the Arizona Cardinals rushing leader, which is no surprise because the talent drop-off behind him is massive.
Yeah.
It's not like it goes from J.K. Dobbins to Gus Edwards. No, not by any means.
No.
So it's going to be good to see James Conner getting back in this one. I'm actually very excited to start him myself. Although Falcons are giving up 106 rush yards per game. Not particularly scared of that. We saw Alexander Mattison have a pretty great fantasy day against them last week. Yeah. I think James Conner will step right back in and do his thing. Hopefully he could remain healthy for the remainder of the year. But yeah, they're running the ball for 127 yards per game. James Conner should, hopefully he's healthy coming off the IR and helps people win some leagues. People like me.
Yeah.
Drake London. He's back this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting Drake London. I think Drake London is a great start. Cardinals are giving up 223 pass yards per game. I see no reason why he shouldn't eat. I'm pretty sure it's still going to be Taylor Heineke in this one. You kind of have no choice but to start Bijan, like some of these other guys that you drafted really high. But
yeah,
I'm nothing less than appalled with Arthur Smith. He recently came out and said that Tyler Algier is one of the best short yardage and goal line backs in the NFL. And someone posted both Bijan and Tyler Algier's numbers in goal line and short yardage situations. And Bijan has almost 2 whole more yards per carry.
Yeah.
So not only is Tyler Algier not one of the best short yardage goal line running backs in the NFL, he's not even the best on your team. But you lie, and we're not getting into the Arthur Smith BS today. We're just going right over this. You're starting Drake London. You're starting Bijan. You are, hell, at this point, if they're going to use him at the goal line every time, I guess Tyler Algier is a decent flex option at this point.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, go ahead. Jonnu Smith, we know how many targets and how much they like to use him. Go ahead. And that's about it. Unless you want to start Kadarius Hodge and get real freaky because Matt Collins isn't playing. But and every time I talk about the Falcons, I have to shout out my boy Younghoe Koo.
Absolute dog. Absolute dog.
And that'll be it.
Well, this one's going to be very quick, and this is my last afternoon game. It is the Giants at the Cowboys. Tommy DeVito is starting for the foreseeable future. The only Giant I am starting
Saquon Barkley.
is Saquon. That's it. There's literally nothing else to say. I'm starting Saquon,
No.
and no one else on the Giants I'm even thinking about. The Cowboys side of the ball, on the other hand, is a lot more exciting. I like Dak. I like Tony Pollard. Because this could also be a game that the Cowboys go up. Here's my only concern with Dak in this game, is that the Cowboys defense could just dominate so easily that he may not have to pass a whole bunch. I mean, they're favored by 17. Dak very well, could get his 2 touchdowns early, but this isn't a game where Dak's going to have to throw the ball, 35, 40 times or something like that. This should be a game where, I mean, it's very possible Dak might not even play this whole game because they might not need him to. That's my only concern. It's nothing against Dak. It's just that the Giants are so bad and their Cowboys defense is so good, he might not have to do very much. But I'd like the Dak start. I like Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Michael Gallup, and Brandon Cooks. I feel like me and Schiff, because I was higher on Gallup, he was higher on Cooks. Gallup would have a decent week, and then Cooks would, and then neither of these dudes, neither of them, man, neither of them are doing it. Like it's done, man. It's done. Like
they're clear. They're not focuses. Neither of them are focuses. The only focuses in that offense or in that passing offense are CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson.
Yeah.
Everybody else, they're just Jags at this point. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Kevontae Turpin, if it's what the hell's the other little guy's name, Jalen Tolbert.
Martavius Bryant, like next week or something when he's randomly out there.
No, I mean, they might, at this point, it's like they might have a good week, but I'm not looking at it as anything other than a good week.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Let
obviously
someone else deal with it.
Yeah, I like Brandon Aubrey, the kicker, and the Cowboys defense. I was going to say, Cowboys defense very well could have the best fantasy week of the season. This, I mean, realistically, this very well could be a 30 to 40 point week.
For that,
but
I'm very excited for that.
It's just a crazy matchup. But I mean, that's all I had. It's going to be bad for the Giants, man.
All right. Well, getting into my final afternoon game, we have the Seattle taking on the Seahawks over 45. Seattle's favored by 6. I mean, Sam Howell has been solid. Seattle's giving up 231 pass yards per game. I think Howell, McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, if you want to start Logan Thomas.
Yeah.
And Curtis Samuel's still questionable. If he does go ahead, throw him out there. Seattle gives up a lot to the pass. Brian Robinson is just sticking around every week.
Mm-hmm.
Not ever burning you, but not ever really doing too much beyond that week 2 performance. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to throw him out there, you want to throw I can't even think of the other one's name right now. Antonio Gibson. Yes, Jesus. If you want to throw him out there, I mean, I honestly do think this should be a decently high-scoring game. So most of the fantasy options in this game, I like. I mean, Washington's defense is currently giving up 27.2 points per game. Not particularly good on any front. Their best is the rush defense, which they're 20th, giving up 116.2 per game. The Seahawks are giving up 21.9 points per game, which is 22nd in the league. They're not particularly good on any front. Well, okay. They were good against the rush before last week when the Ravens ran for like 300 yards on them.
Yeah.
So that kind of skewed it a little bit. But at this point, they're not higher than 20th in any front. So I really think you got your offensive options. Aside from guys like, Jake Bobo, I don't think you should be reaching that far.
Yeah.
And I genuinely don't think like Charbonnet is. I don't think you're starting Charbonnet.
No.
But like Ken Walker, Lockett, JSN, DK. None of the tight ends on that team. Dare I say Geno Smith?
Could say it.
He might have a week this week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Washington's so bad against the pass, he might have a week this week. They give up 252 yards per game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think this is one where this should be a good fantasy football game, or a good football game and a good game for fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go.
You kick off the Sunday night.
Yeah, it's God. Who is planning and not flexing these games?
Okay, whoa.
Don't give me that.
Aiden O'Connell on the big screen Sunday night? Well, who else would you rather have?
I would honestly
just don't answer it, please. Don't answer it. Don't say someone that's going to hurt me. Just get into the game.
I was just saying they had the Niners and Jags right there.
Yeah, they did.
Like,
they did.
This is the second week in a row that they've done this. Like, progressing through the year. We're in week 9 and week 10, and they throw the Jets and Chargers out there for a primetime game last week when you had the Eagles and Cowboys
right there. And it was a great game, too. That Eagles-Cowboys game was good.
It was an amazing game. They could have put that in primetime. This week, you have the Niners and Jags. Hell, even Texans Bengals at this point. But
yeah,
just for, I mean, the over-under is 36.5 points in a primetime game. I would not want to watch a Ravens-Browns prime.
It's the Aaron Rodgers effect, you know.
I know,
he got them all these prime times, and then
flex them.
Yeah,
flex them. Pulled.
He had so much
prime time. Get him out of there. What are you doing?
Zach Wilson, Aiden O'Connell, prime time.
Bro. Come on. No hate towards O'Connell.
He's unproven. He's so young.
I have seen enough of Zach Wilson in prime time. I'm sorry.
I've seen enough of him in general.
But in prime time, when he's the only one on, bro,
Yeah,
I'm done. Please. Like, Roger Goodell, what are you doing? Anyways, as we were saying, the New York Jets currently 16.5 points per game, 30th in the NFL, 169 passing yards per game, also 30th in the NFL.
Yeah.
103 rush yards per game, 20th. Woohoo. Total yards per game, 31st in the NFL, 279. They can't even break 300 total yards per game. They can't even break 280. There's 2 weeks in a row we watched in prime time. Their defense, on the other hand, giving up 137 on the ground should be a good game for Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
They are giving up 174 through the air. Very nervous for the pass attack, and 19.5 points per game. You're starting Breece Hall. We know the Raiders rush defense is not good. You are starting Garrett Wilson just because he gets all the volume. If you want to start Tyler Conklin off of his performance last week, I don't hate it, but that will be it. And over to you.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add, it depends how you feel about the Raiders, but I will throw out there the Jets' defense could be a solid play. It could be.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have them starting somewhere, and I have the Raiders' defense also starting somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how I think this game is going to go. Yeah. I think both defenses are better than both offenses. So.
Yes, they are. And, the Raiders side of the ball is very simple as well. We're not looking at Aiden O'Connell. I agree with Schiff. Both these teams have solid pass defenses, and both these teams have horrendous rush defenses. So Josh Jacobs should feast this game. Yes. Devontae Adams has broken double digits once in the past 5 weeks. You have to start him, obviously, but you will just pray that he actually gets double digits again.
Nah, I'm just hoping to God for 10 points at this point.
Yeah. No,
Especially this
absolutely.
week.
And then Jacoby Myers is the guy that you have to start. Trey Tucker and Hunter Renfrow are just kind of out there for them. Michael Mayer and Austin Hooper, it's kind of the same. Like we say, it will not change for the Raiders. It does not seem like anyone else will even be a viable option. It's Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. And like Schiff mentioned, if you think they can get some field goals, Daniel Carlson, I think there's better options out there, though. And then, second week in a row, the Raiders' defense could be a solid play.
Yep. Just, yeah, this is going to be a fun.
Oh, yeah. Let's close her out. We only got one more.
Yes, we do. And I can't say I'm too much more excited about this game. But, I mean, hey, these teams have been better, I guess, than, well, not really. The Broncos have a chance to hang with the pack if they win this game.
Yeah.
That's the game that we'll be talking about. The Broncos going into Buffalo and taking on the, I don't know, much maligned Bills. They have not been good, honestly. They haven't been good.
Yeah.
They're 5-4 right now, and some of their losses are kind of head scratching.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, getting into the Broncos, they're 21.5 points per game, 185 passing yards per game, 116 on the ground. Much better than we saw last year, which doesn't even really need to be said. Currently, Courtland Sutton is their leading wide receiver, and Javonte Williams is their leading rusher. Courtland Sutton only has 380 yards. I digress. But I'm not like worried genuinely about the Bills defense, like I said, anymore. They're only giving up 17.8 points per game. They're giving up 219 through the air and 114 on the ground. Both much, much lower than we have seen them in recent history, ranking 14th and 18th. It's very weird to see the Bills that low, but that's what they are now. And I think Javonte Williams should have a great game.
Yeah.
I think he's a great start in this one. Sutton, Judy, go ahead and fire him up, and that's it.
Yeah. And Bill's side of the ball has a bit more question marks. I mean, yeah, the Broncos are horrendous on defense. 27th against the pass, dead last against the rush. Josh Allen's an obvious start. Stephon Diggs and Dalton Kincaid.
They're currently giving up 405 total yards per game.
It's unbelievable. I mean, and this was a defense that was very capable last season. Like, very capable. Vance Joseph should never be employed anywhere again for what he did to this team. My two guys I'm kind of worried about in this game. One is James Cook. He is out there 60% of the time, but they just do not give him the volume. He has broken double digits once in the past 5 weeks. And the other one is Gabe Davis, who in week 8 caught 9 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown, 23 fantasy points. In the week surrounding that, week 6, 3.1, week 7, 1.6, and last week 9, 2 targets, goose egg. Again, if you want to roll the dice on Gabe Davis, he will either give you a very good week or at this point will very possibly lose you the week. If that's a risk you're willing to take, go ahead and take it. James Cook, depends what your fantasy running backs look like. The Broncos are dead last against the run. Please run the ball. But we know who the Bills are. I'm not holding my breath about it. So if you have other options at RB, there's probably safer options. If you do not, you are like me in starting him and screaming at the screen for 3 hours for the Bills to run the ball because he's averaging 5 yards a carry in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. You know?
Yeah, it's really simple. But yeah, if we have any updates as far as injuries for guys go, like if we learn something about Jamar Chase, anything that we did not cover in this episode, we will be updating on the Instagram page and our Twitter page. Like we talk about every episode at this point, we do have our partnership with Sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys do want to get in on some of the fun with that, go ahead and DM us or send us a message on any of our social media platforms, and we can get you guys hooked up with that and get you into our group. Any help, any questions, anything you guys may have for us, we're always available. And yeah, Derek, go ahead.
Come back next time. Take more reps with the first team.
Yes, indeed.